Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to Turner Mobile Detailing. And today we are filming part 2 in our ceramic sealant challenge 6-month plus test. We are a little bit past the 3-month mark. We shot the initial application video on November 7th, and today is February 20th. So I'm about 2 weeks past the 3 months mark. Work has been incredibly busy over the last few weeks. Plus we had a little bit of a family emergency, so I just haven't had time to get this video done. But today is a beautiful afternoon. It's about 42 degrees here in Bucks County, and it's a perfect afternoon to get this Forester washed down, to see our water behavior, and see how our 7 sealants are holding up after 3+ months. Now, if you remember, the sealants that we tested were Nexgen Shine Armor, the Last Coat, Griot's 3-in-1 ceramic wax, Turtle Wax ceramic spray coating, Carpro's Reload, and Gyeon Cure. Now, I do apologize for not getting any initial footage of the water behavior after about 24 hours, but I can personally attest that they all showed very good water behavior. The only one that fell a little bit short of the others as far as the water beading and water sheeting after the 24-hour mark was the Turtle Wax, but it was still very close, somewhat negligible you could say. But the real test is going to be today. Over the last 3+ months, we've had about 3 to 4 snowstorms, 2 of them being good size. The car has been covered in salt and brine and sand, ice and snow several times, and stayed that way. I honestly have not washed the car in these 3 months since I put the coatings on. So we're going to get a good test as to how strong these coatings are in real-world conditions. So the first thing we're going to do is give it a good rinse down. I'll bring you in for that to see what the water behavior is while it's still dirty. And then off camera, I'm going to give it a good, solid, gentle hand wash using Carpro Reset. And then I'll bring you back in for a final rinse down to see what the water behavior looks like after the car is nice and clean. Let's go. So right off the bat with Nexgen, we see very, very poor water behavior. I did lean a little heavier on the Nexgen in this test, again, because of all the hype that surrounds it. But as we can see here, after only about 3.5 months, there really doesn't look to be anything to speak of. The water behavior is flat, not water repellent at all. And if I didn't apply it myself, I'd say that there was no surface protection whatsoever. Now moving on to the Shine Armor, that didn't seem to fare any better than the Nexgen. With the Gyeon Cure, we see a little bit of water sheeting, but really it's a little on the slow side. Moving on to the Last Coat, up to this point I'd say it's our best performer, but not by much. The water sheeting is faster than the first 3 products, but for some reason it didn't fare nearly as well on the rear hatch as it did on the side quarter panel. The Turtle Wax seems to be performing similar to the Last Coat, maybe a hair better, but again it looks much better on the quarter panel on the side than it does on the rear hatch. Moving on to the Carpro Reload, this was one of my biggest disappointments personally. I've always loved this stuff, and Carpro products are not cheap, but I have to admit, at least after 3 months, it's being outperformed by much cheaper products, but not by all that much. Now with the Griots, it seems we've saved the best for last, at least up to this point. The results definitely are not blowing me away, but it is sheeting and even beading water much better than any of the other products so far. Okay, so during that initial rinse down, I gotta be honest, I wasn't super impressed. There was a few that performed better than the rest, but the higher priced ones, especially the Nexgen, I gotta be honest, I could not see any water behavior whatsoever. The water just laid on the surface, both vertical and horizontal areas. Now, not all of the coatings, while the car was dirty, performed this poorly. We did see some beading and sheeting, so we're gonna see if we can't improve that performance by giving the vehicle a good wash down. And through the miracles of modern video editing, the only amount of time that you have to wait is for me to snap my fingers. Okay, so I just finished washing down by hand the entire vehicle with Carpro Reset. Now it's time for our final rinse down and final water behavior test after 3+ months. So to be fair, a dirty surface can really affect the water behavior of a coating, whether it's a wax, a ceramic coating, or somewhere in between like these sealants. But so far, after a nice wash down, the Nexgen doesn't seem to have improved at all. The water just lays on the panels, both horizontal and vertical, again as if nothing was applied in the first place. It almost seems like Nexgen actually made the surface hydrophilic instead of hydrophobic. A very disappointing performance from Nexgen so far. Now back to the Shine Armor. After the wash, it doesn't seem to have fared much better than the Nexgen. As you can see, the water just clings to the panel. Now moving on to Gyeon Cure, which is the most expensive product in this test. Again, really no water behavior to speak of. In fact, to this point, I'd say that after the wash, the water behavior has gotten even worse. Now the same goes true for TLC. After the wash, the water behavior is even worse. The water is barely sheeting, but it takes a few seconds to actually see it. Even after 10 to 20 seconds, the sheeting is still minimal, and again, the water behavior on the rear hatch was still non-existent. Now the same goes true with the turtle wax. No water repellency on the rear hatch still. And on the passenger rear quarter panel, we've actually lost a lot of the hydrophobic properties after it's been washed. Similar to TLC, after about 10 to 20 seconds, we finally start to see a tiny bit of water repellency. Now as for the Reload, again, we've gone backwards here. We had much better water repellency before the vehicle was washed, to now really nothing. With the last two products, at least they sheeted after a few seconds. With Reload, nothing. Lastly, the Griot 3-in-1 is still working, but it did take a big hit. We see some water sheeting, albeit a little slow, but still better than all the others. The water beading, however, is basically gone. Now after a few minutes of sitting, let's take one last look around. We do see some evidence of water repellency, but honestly, it doesn't look much better than a vehicle that was just washed that had no protection on it to begin with. Okay, so after our final rinse down, I have to be honest, I don't know about you, but I am really disappointed after only about 3 months of real-world exposure for all these coatings. Like I said before, especially the more expensive ones, like the Nexgen, the Carpro, the Gyeon. At the price point that those products sit at, we should see a lot better results after just 3 months. Honestly, the best performer so far, in my opinion, has been the Griot Ceramic 3-in-1 Wax. But even that didn't blow me away with the results after 3 months. But I do feel it outperformed its other 6 competitors in this test. So we're going to leave it at that. The results are what they are. So we're going to keep the test going for about another 3 or 4 months or so, just to be thorough, to finish it out like we originally set out to do. And maybe there'll be something left after 6 or 7 months. But at this rate, it doesn't seem very likely. So thanks for watching. And if you've enjoyed this video series so far, please don't hesitate to give us a like right down below. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. That way we can continue to make auto detailing content just like this, and turn on that little notifications bell so that when we upload updates just like this, you won't miss a thing. So again, thanks so much for watching. I'm Seth with Turner Mobile Detailing, and we'll see you in the next video.